So if you could be here around 9, that would be great. Okay?
Well, listen here.
Hello, and welcome to 90 Day Fiancé Okay. I'm Mr. O, and today, Miss H and I will be discussing Season 3, Episode 6 of The Other Way. In this episode, Kenny and Armando go to get final approval from the state. Ari tries her best to convince Binny she's coming back. Steven faces the fallout of his secret and also Alina's mom. Corey comes clean to Evelin, and Jenny and Sumit might have some new living arrangements. As always, we'll end with our Students of the Week, Class Dunces, and Life Lessons. If you like what you hear, please give us a 5-star rating and subscribe. And if you also watch Love After Lockup, you should listen to our other podcast, Love After Lockup Okay. All right, thanks for listening, stay safe, and enjoy.
Hello, Mr. O.
Hello, Miss H.
How are things with you?
They're going pretty good. We had an extra day for this, so...
Well, because we had some crazy schedules, I know.
Yeah.
Mr. O is in the middle of coaching.
Yes, we had our last soccer game yesterday, so... Well, until the playoffs start, but we're going to have definitely one playoff game. And because at least in Maryland, everybody makes the playoffs, so...
Everybody's a winner. Everybody's a winner in Maryland.
Making the playoffs doesn't necessarily make you a winner. It just means everybody makes the playoffs. So like I said, we'll definitely have only one playoff game, and then we can move on, and we should be able to do this a little bit better than we've been doing it recently.
Right. So we didn't actually realize until kind of closer to Monday that we were going to be releasing late. Otherwise, we would have let you know before. So we apologize for having a day late. But to reward you all for waiting that day, we actually have a rumor roundup today.
2-minute rumor roundup.
All right, so Russ and Power are taking a break from their marriage. Their marriage has been strained since Ross lost his job. It's another baby boy for Lauren and Alexi. Lauren delivered early, but baby Asher and mom are doing fine. Nicole has finally admitted that she is no longer with Azin, and literally no one is shocked. She has also gone back to school, enrolling at State College of Florida. David and Annie are capitalizing on their post-show popularity by launching a line of cooking oils. And speaking of, Yara and Jovi has started her own line of makeup. Sinjin and Tanya have called it quits. Sinjin will be appearing on Single Life along with Colt's mom Debbie, Big Ed, Natalie of Natalie and Mike, Jesse, who will be dating Jennifer of Tim and Jennifer, and Stephanie of Stephanie and Erica. Meanwhile, Ed is supposedly engaged to Single Life co-star of last season, Liz. There is speculation and rumors that Michael and Juliana are headed towards a split after Juliana posted a TikTok video saying she doesn't want to talk about if she's still together with Michael. Robert and Annie have welcomed another baby boy, Adriel, into the world. Mike of Mike and Natalie is rumored to be dating a reality TV star from Rock of Love Bus, Marsha, aka Brazil. Angela of Angela and Michael has come out saying that she was drugged up and that's why she flashed everyone at the tell-all. Andrew of Andrew and Amira has lost his lawsuit against John Yates. Jeffrey of who knows what season, since no one covered him and we all fast-forwarded through his parts, has been convicted of domestic abuse. Paul of Paul and Carini is continuing to overshare and recently posted online his STD test results and medical records of Carini's prescriptions, implying that she has herpes. Tiffany and Ronald are rumored to be broken up again. As Tiffany gets her groove back, she has shown significant weight loss after having a gastric sleeve surgery back in June.
Oh, right. She talked about that in the tell-all.
Yes, that she was going to have it.
Okay, did we know? Robert and Annie, how many kids is that for him? Good God.
Gosh, it's a lot for him. It's their second. And she loves kids, and it seemed like he really only had full custody of Bryson.
Right.
Yeah.
That's true. But that's the one that stuck out. Everybody else was like, people we thought were going to break up are broken up.
I don't know. Juliana and Michael, yes, I didn't think.
That's one exception. Most of the other breakups were like, yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Well, Sinjin and Tanya, I think I was surprised that they had kept it hidden for so long.
Sure.
Because not to say that it escalated quickly, but it's like we find out like 1 week that they're divorced. And then the next week it's like, surprise, I'm on Single Life.
Right, which means he was probably already filming stuff and everything. And usually that comes out. Sinjin was seen with a camera crew, like at a dating thing. I don't know, however they do it, right?
Right. So that one I think was a little bit surprising. And also, I think Russ and Pal, like, after you get to a certain point, you're just kind of like, yeah, you guys, I thought for sure they would break up when she insisted on moving to Miami.
Right.
You know, and the fact that they survived that, it's like, okay, now Russ lost his job and now you want to break up? Like, all right. Seems like weird timing.
No, it makes sense if anybody was going to break up, it was going to be Pal, right? Like, Russ could take a lot. Like, we'll move to Miami. Yeah. All right, fine. As soon as like, actually, I don't have as much money. And she was like, bye, get out. You're done. We're done with you.
Right. Yeah, but they have a baby now. And I think like everything is just different when you have a baby. It's like, I think people feel the obligation to try harder.
You would think so. Most people do. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So let's go to the first couple. I'm going to go with the one we didn't see much of, but they're also trying hard. And that's Kenny and Armando. So the wedding is getting closer. And now it's time to get the paperwork together to get the marriage license. So on the way, Armando says that he's worried there's going to be more like unforeseen roadblocks thrown in their way. Just like the time last year where they were denied their marriage license because the state apparently did not recognize same-sex marriage. But when they get to the marriage office, they are pleasantly surprised. They don't even need that letter from Human Rights anymore. There was some weird loophole if they got a letter from Human Rights, blah, blah, blah. Because now the state recognizes all marriages under any circumstance. Well, all at least same-sex two-person marriages under circumstances. Which earns a fist pump from Kenny. So Armando kind of asks the guy working there, why the change? And he says that it seems it was mostly a demand issue. There are a lot of people trying to get these licenses right now. So at the end of the day, it was just easier to, instead of fighting these human rights lawsuits all the time, to just be like,
laziness.
Hey, if necessity is the mother invention, laziness is its father. Like, just, yeah. But it was funny because, okay, so, and like, how much do you buy it? Because the guy was like, you know, I don't want to say it was Kenny and Armando that broke the camel's back, but it was cases just like that. So, like, how much do you think their case specifically had to do with it? Because it was probably the most high profile one, right?
Yeah, I would think so. But I also kind of wonder, how high profile is it in Mexico? I know, you know, we know in the US that it's pretty popular, but
sure.
Oh, it would be interesting if we could even see our podcast numbers because we can see it based on location. I don't know if we really have anyone or a big following in Mexico.
Well, that's also a language thing because we have like people from places where they speak English, basically. And like weird other places in Europe where everybody speaks English too. But yes, I don't think it's a ton from Mexico, all things considered, considering how, you know, geographically close it is. But I wonder how much crap they got from like Americans calling down there. Being like, what? How dare you not let this beautiful couple get married? This is insane.
I don't know. I don't think anyone's doing that. Do you really think?
I don't know. People are weird. And the thing is it only takes like a dozen. If you had like a dozen people calling like every third day. I could see that. They'd be like, oh my God, stop this.
You're like, no one ever calls us. This is, you know, now we're really busy. Let's just make this go away. How can we make this go away? Because I kind of got the impression that, you know, by them saying, oh yeah, you know, there seems to be more couples that are applying for this. I just don't want to deal with it. All right, let's just let them get married. You know? So that's what I'm saying. It seemed like laziness. Like, we're too tired to fight this. Yeah, so we're just not.
Certainly did. It was especially because they already had this known workaround loophole that it was like, all right, it's like there's everybody who wants to get married is getting married anyway. But now you have twice as much paperwork to make it happen. Like, let's just not do that.
Right. Yeah. Well, good for them. I'm glad that, you know, that it's working out for them, that they don't have these barriers. I don't know why, but I kind of feel like Kenny will take this as being like, I'm trailblazing again, because I feel like I feel like he wears that hat a lot, you know, and it's kind of almost self-proclaimed in a lot of ways. Like, you know, I've been gay for so long and I've been there to fight for gay rights. And, you know, I kind of feel like he sees himself as a trailblazer. Yeah.
And we don't really know much about his background in terms of
especially with activism.
Yeah. What kind of activism he's been part of. So I don't want to like deny him that. But I also don't want to be like, listen, what did you do that was brave? I came out and then just lived my life normally. And like, I mean, and not that wasn't hard and it wasn't scary and he probably didn't have a lot of stuff, but it was like, I don't know how much credit you like actually get in terms of difficulty, in terms of doing it. Yes. In terms of like blazing the way for other people and leaving a path behind you. I don't know. I'm not sure.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think the thing that I will say was he was probably one of the first is just, being a single gay parent to, because I mean, his kids are older. So, I mean, that happened when 20 years ago.
Oh, at least.
Yeah.
And that is definitely something where I'm sure in a lot of states they would not have let him adopt any kids.
Sure. But aren't they his? I thought he had a surrogate.
Did he have a surrogate? Oh.
I want to say they're his.
Okay.
Yeah.
That could be right.
All right.
Yeah, really short with them this week.
Yeah. Other short segments, Ari and Biniyam. So Ari is telling Biniyam that she doesn't want to go, but she has to go. The plan is to be back in a month, and she is sure to leave a lot of clothes as some kind of reassurance that she'll be back. At one point, Biniyam had hidden Ari's passport, and Ari understands that Biniyam isn't acting like himself since this specific situation reminds him of his ex leaving him with their baby. Ari tells Binny that she has a gift for him, and she gets down on one knee to give him an engagement ring. Binny is taking Ari to the airport, and his heart feels heavy, as he says. Ari is having a hard time seeing Binny like this, but she thinks that this is the best thing for Avi, and she's kind of excited to see her family and introduce them to Avi in person. They're at the airport, and Biniyam can't help but cry, and Ari asks him to call every day, and she will also call. Binny tells us that his ex said that she would be back too, so he can't help but feel like it's, everything's happening all over again. Binny says it's been 2 years since he's seen his first child, and as he's kind of recalling this in the interview, he's just sobbing. He doesn't want history to repeat itself, and he hopes that Ari will come back. All right. So at this point, if you were to give like a percent, what are the odds that you think Ari doesn't come back?
To odds that she doesn't come back I guess at all. Like,
right.
I don't know. I would say 30%.
Oh, interesting. I gave it a lot lower. I was like more like 10 to 15%.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think I mean, part of it is because, and a little bit because of the preview we saw at the end too, is I feel like Ari is a pretty impressionable person. And if her mom and her family are telling her that this is what's best for the baby and what's best for her, not even what's best for her, what's best for the baby is that she stay, I think she would be more convinced to stay. She kind of blow whichever way the winds are going. And when she's in Ethiopia and everybody's telling her you need to come back and you need to stay in Ethiopia, she seems like she's more amenable to come back. But I think she's an impressionable person. Yeah.
I agree with you. I think that she might not want to live in Ethiopia, especially after being in America for a month. But what I can kind of see is if she decided that the best course of action was to bring Biniyam to America, I still think she would go back because that process is going to be long, you know? And I'm not saying that she's going to stay in Ethiopia forever because those would be very different odds for me. But I think that she almost feels an obligation to come back. So, because she knows it would just be soul crushing. How is Biniyam going to get over this happening to him twice? I just don't know if he could.
I think she would consider it to be not doing the same thing if she was like, okay, well, I didn't just abandon you and leave you there. We're going to bring you over here so you can be with your family. You won't lose your family. Right. You're not going to lose your family. And that's where my 30% wasn't that she would do the same thing and leave and like abandon him or whatever, like his version of that story is, but that it would turn into actually new plan. Let's move to America.
Yeah.
And then try to make that happen before she came back to Ethiopia, which is better. But I don't know. It kind of like, I worry about the guy because stealing her passport and hiding it was not a good plan.
No, it's not. It's very reminiscent of Andrea and Lamar, and Andrea trying to steal his driver's license to try to keep him trapped in the Utah home because she didn't want to go back to LA. It was like, that was dumb back then. And so
it's just such a like juvenile, like a kid. It's like a 6-year-old would be like, want to do that. I'll steal it and we won't be able to find it. And then they can't leave.
Right.
And they didn't think past that. It'd be like, well, what would they do then? Like, how would they feel? Like, it's just completely lacking in any kind of empathy.
Yeah, but I think at least Ari saw it for what it was. It was just desperate people do desperate things. And she recognizes that he's desperate and hurt. And he's really just, he's not trying to hurt her. He really just doesn't want them to leave. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, I mean, she wasn't too hard on him. But yeah, it seemed kind of crazy. Like,
yeah. Oh. And I was like, oh, man, the way they cut that at some point, I was like, how long is this ramp? Because I felt like they kept cutting back and he was like at the ramp at the airport, like holding his head and crying. And then like they cut back to her and I was like, she walked like 2 steps from these 2 cuts.
Right.
Which I'm sure he wasn't standing there that long and she was very cut. I'm sure they just cut 2 completely separate things in together to make it look like they were happening at the same time. But it was like, it looked so weird. It was like, oh my God, this is going to take forever.
Yeah.
They're going to keep cutting back to her walking up this ramp.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Like, their segment wasn't that long in terms of like content, but in terms of time, like it was.
Yeah, it was significantly long. Yeah, just because of that, because a lot of her walking away, a lot of him just crying at the camera, saying the same thing. And so that's what we get to this show is like, that's why we're definitely on the record of saying this show should only be an hour long because I feel like they were stretching a lot of stuff here to fill time.
Yeah.
All right. So let's move on to one of the more meatier couples this time. And our favorite guy, Steven and Alina.
Yeah. Least favorite guy.
Least favorite guy. He's definitely not winning. He's still losing points, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So Steven has just told Alina that he isn't a virgin like he told her. And this is the week we get to see her reaction. He starts by saying he's sorry he's not perfect. So Alina takes a big swig of wine. And when Steven asks, did you just drink that wine?
Hell yeah.
She has, I think, one of the best comebacks we've seen on the show of her saying, did you just sleep with all these other girls?
Yeah. Go Alina.
So anyway, mostly Steven just sits there making a dumb face, just the dumbest face, as she lays into him for being a total hypocrite. And he has a couple of weak-ass defenses that he tries at. But at this point, she asks him for his body count. And he says that he's, quote, made out with over 100 girls.
God.
Was, quote, more intimate with 24, and had sex with 4 or 5, which, let's be honest, means 5. Right?
He just forgot one because there's
like,
so
I don't
many.
know, like, he's like, yeah, there's so many. Like, I don't know if it's 4 or 5. Like, it's 5, dude. If you're questioning between 4 and 5, it's whichever one makes you look worse. It's 5.
Yeah.
So she asks when was the last time he was intimate with another girl, and he says last October, which Alina very much knows was after they started dating. He says, yeah, but it doesn't really count because we weren't really ready to be intimate. I said I wasn't ready to commit or be intimate or whatever. Anyway, then he gives us the details in an interview about the last time, which seems to be a Disney Plus and chill situation since they watched Star Wars. But anyway, back to the wine tasting. Alina needs to step outside to process. So while Steven pays the bill and tells us how bad he feels, he comes outside to solve things with a hug. And she just walks away, and he just walks consistently 2 steps behind her, saying her name all the way home. Alina, stop. Alina, we should talk. But not actually into the home because she gets in and locks the door behind her. So later, Steven is eating breakfast, and Alina just like breezes past him and walks out the door without a word. She's going to pick up her mom from the airport. And as Steven cleans his apartment, he just thinks, right before mom visits was maybe not the best time to spill the beans about his big secret. So on the way to the airport, Alina is trying to decide exactly what she wants to tell her mother. So when mom Anna gets there, she tells us that she wants to get to know this Steven character better because she's only known him for a few days. She wants to know how the relationship works with open eyes. In the car, Alina makes some comments about Steven not sticking to his commandments without getting into too many specifics. And Anna jumps all over this, saying that now that the rose-colored glasses are coming off, so, maybe you should come back to Russia. So back at the apartment, Steven tries to win over mom by giving her a gift of Turkish chocolates. He's hoping that Anna doesn't know what he told Alina yesterday, but he's got a trick up his sleeve to impress her. He speaks Russian, which she already knew, but he claims always wins over Russian people. So they have some of the chocolates, and after a lot of weird, like a long time, this is one of those stretchy situations where everybody's like,
Oh, gosh.
Steven giggles and brings his gift for Alina, which is a weird red cat purse that is hot red, like hot fire because she's hot. Anyway, ugh.
It's weird explanation of it.
It was very weird. Anna starts in with the going in on him. She asks him about all these other girls he's been seeing. Anna seems to think that Steven is goofy as hell and that this relationship doesn't seem all that serious. But Steven is still doubling down, saying that he's all in, intends to get married, and would like to get her blessing. Anna thinks it's too early for that kind of talk, and then says she's tired from the flight and goes to bed, where Alina follows her. After the door closed, we can hear her say that Alina's prospects don't look too bright. So, okay, so I'm going to start with what I literally texted you during the episode. What is Steven's line between making out and more intimate stuff? And notice I didn't ask what your line was. I asked what Steven's line is between more intimate and making out.
Oh my gosh. So I think to him, making out is just kissing.
Right.
Right?
That's what
Heavy
I assumed.
kissing.
Yes.
Right?
Sure.
I think more intimate would be a vast array of things because there's a lot of things that can happen, right? There's a big range of things that can happen between kissing and actual sex. So I don't really know what he was thinking, but I'll tell you what I was thinking was I think his interpretation of it is, pretty much no insertion is anything else.
Yes,
so that
intimate.
could be anything. That could be blowjobs, oral of any
blowjobs.
Yes.
Yes.
Fingers.
Yeah. Anything involving hands and mouths and everything. Yes.
Right. Yeah. So
I don't think he's a like anal doesn't count person though. I think,
oh God. I don't think so either. I don't know. I can't imagine the kind of girls that would fall for his act would be like, I don't know, girls that are just like, okay, we've slept the first time, anal.
Right. True.
Right.
True.
So, because these are the ones that are falling for his like dopey innocent act.
Oh, this is his dopey innocent. We'll just watch Rise of Skywalker. We'll just
Right.
and then him just like trying to cuddle and then trying to get a little bit closer and then
Right.
reaching over. That's his move. That is clearly that guy's move, right?
Yeah.
And so I guess my question is like where does he count like undershirt action? Is which side of the line is that on?
I don't think that's making out to him.
To him. Right.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't even really, to be honest, I don't think it really matters, does it?
It doesn't matter at all.
I was kind of shocked. Like, you've made out with over 100 people. Like,
how old is he? How
24, I want to say. I think he's 24.
Okay, so if he's 24, that means he's got a solid 9 years of making out, 10 years of being
Possibly, I have
generous,
no idea.
right?
Sure.
Right. So you're talking like, I guess that's like 12 girls a year, like one a month. Like,
yeah, I guess so. But I'm going to go out on a limb and say that it's not. I mean, because at some point he's had to have had a girlfriend or someone that he's more consistently making out with that lasts more than 1 month.
Right. Yes.
I would think. I would hope, just because, how do you have zero relationship to, oh yeah, I'm going to go marry this girl that I've only, met for 1 week? I mean, I guess they're kind of in line with one another, but it just seems like an extra bad idea.
No, because it seems like if we're doing that way, up until that point, he's not been interested in staying with anybody in particular. He's always just been like, all right, on to the next one. Right.
Yeah, but then he also doesn't know how he is in a relationship because maybe the reason why he hasn't had a girl for more than a month is because
he's a creep. Okay.
He's a creep. And he can't, no one can hold his attention.
I can see that too. Yeah.
If he has attention deficit when it comes to relationships, it seems like a big gamble to go straight from attention deficit to marriage.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. It's just, I mean, it was, I don't know. It did seem like a lot. And especially because I thought he said
I thought he was going to say he'd be like, hundreds of girls he had sex with. I was like, what?
I made out, he started with made out with over 100. I was like, whoa. And then he said, and there were about 2 dozen. And I was like, 2 dozen?
Yeah. I was thinking the same thing. I was like, holy hell. How could you just conveniently forget that? Honestly, I wouldn't even be surprised if it was like, 2 dozen that he really did, and he's just hiding it because it's like, hiding it. What the hell? Like,
okay, and that I don't want to pass any judgment. 2 numbers, I don't care, right? It's not about anybody's actual numbers or anybody's 2 dozen is a lot. You're slutty, but like
nothing to do with that.
It's the fact that he's like, I'm so chaste, and we need to stay. We can't even sleep in the same room, and he's like been banging 1 girl a month. For the last 3 years.
And okay, yes, I absolutely agree with you. I'm not trying to slut shame anyone. Like, whatever, 2 dozen people at 24, sure. Like, that's fine. But the problem here is you won't even sleep with your current girlfriend.
Right.
And you're trying to, like, make it out to be this whole, like, oh, well, you won't be accepted in the church if you have sex. It's like, well, you're in the church and hoeing around. Like, what? How do you explain that situation?
Yeah. So I definitely am curious, a little curious as to, like, definitely was very intrigued. And I was surprised she wasn't more intrigued. It was like, no. I asked you a specific question, and I'm going to need more details of to what these 3 categories go into. But I mean, at the end of the day, and that's one of those things that when you're in Alina's situation, a lot of people tend to want to know, and good on her, because you were right. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter. What matters is that he's being a total hypocrite. What matters is that he's like doing that. Now, how many people he did how many things with doesn't matter. That's not really the salient point here.
Right. Oh, agreed. It's the hypocrisy that bothers me about this whole thing. Like, whatever,
Yeah, but I'll tell you who came off looking strong in light of all that was Alina's mom.
Yeah. Alina's mom is like, she's a quirky character, like at least looking at her.
I can't figure out how old she is. She's not very old.
Yes, because she looked older than grandma, but I think it's just how she like presents herself is, it's like her haircut, her glasses, like.
Yeah, but then she does the haircut and glasses and wears like the ripped like jeans and like the other things that are way more youthful clothes.
Right.
But I mean, I just liked her. We always appreciate when we get a nice, gruff, blunt person who just comes in as like, this man is weird. This relationship is fake. You should come back to Russia. Like,
I love that she's saying that to Alina in Russian. Like, she didn't give a crap that Steven can understand what she's saying.
I love the fact that, like, in a normal situation, that's like, they were saying this in Russian so that he can't understand what she's saying. But she basically acknowledges, I know he can hear what we're saying, and I know he knows what we're saying, and I'm going to say it anyway, directly to you in front of him.
Love it. Alina's mom. All right, let's move on to our other couple in crisis, Corey and Evelin. So Corey tells Evelin that he's going to go look for jobs, but Corey's actually going to visit Jenny, who lives an hour away in Ecuador. How Corey had left things is he told Jenny he needed closure with his marriage, and she was understanding that he had to leave. But then Corey just ghosted her. Mm-hmm. He meets with Jenny, and they both hug each other. Jenny thinks that Corey is trying to clear things up in person. Corey tells her that he's sorry and that he's had serious feelings for her. She agrees that their relationship was real and beautiful, even if it was short-lived. Jenny says he wasn't honest with her from the beginning, and Corey tells her that he never lied to her. But Jenny said that he was married, and that's not really single. So yeah, it's kind of lying. She also would never be the other woman. Corey tells her that Evelin and him were working through things, and he hopes that she wasn't waiting for him. Jenny believes they would have been together if Corey hadn't been married to Evelin, and she thinks that he should be honest and sincere with Evelin about their relationship. Jenny excuses herself from her meeting with Corey because she has another date. When asked if Corey still has feelings for Jenny, he tells us that, he has feelings for her as a person, but his heart and love belongs with Evelin. Corey later has a sit down with Evelin and says he wants to come clean with everything that happened when they were separated. He acknowledges the rumors of a girlfriend, and he tells her Jenny was his girlfriend and it was serious. Evelin asks why he's telling her now after he's denied it the whole time, and she starts crying. Evelin was told that it was a 4-day thing, and she had convinced herself that Corey's alleged impotence was a result of him not being over her. Evelin is not buying his excuse of being depressed and calls him gross as Corey defends himself, saying that she said it was okay for him to be with other people, but Evelin says that she is mad about the lies. Evelin doesn't believe that Corey truly cut ties with Jenny. Evelin doesn't know this Corey, and she thinks that he's horrible. Evelin tells him to take his stuff and leave. She hopes he suffers and gets eaten by mosquitoes outside. Evelin is tired of the lies on lies and tells us that she needs a divorce. Evelin proceeds to text Corey that he is a piece of garbage liar and to forget about her. Evelin is crying and she doesn't know why he decides to tell her now after they've already started planning a wedding. Evelin says the reason she told Corey things were over before is because she was hoping to light a fire under his ass to do the things that he said he would do. And he's the one who came crying, coming back. Corey was unable to sleep in this, or was able to sleep in the spare room after all. And Corey is still hoping that he can fix things with Evelin. Evelin can't even look at him as she cries as Corey says that he hopes they can work it out. Evelin doesn't think he regrets anything, and it doesn't show. And she just doesn't believe his lies. She doesn't think his apologies sound sincere. Corey had sweared on his dead dad that he was telling the truth, and Evelin is sobbing, and Corey is at a loss because she never cries. Evelin feels trapped because they had told her family, so they won't want her to get a divorce now, but she has no trust in him. Evelin says that this is the last time she will talk to him. Okay, so do you really think that this is the last time Evelin will talk to him?
No. No. And it's because she already pulled that crap with I told him it was over, but it wasn't really over. I just thought if I told him it was over, then that would make him do something that I wanted him to do, right? Which is like, yeah, that comes out to bite you in the butt when people actually take that to mean it. They think it's over, right? And so I think she's kind of doing the same thing. Like, oh, no, you need to do more. I'm never talking to you again. And it's a hope that he'll do more instead of actually never talking to him again. I don't know what she wants him to do, though.
Yeah, I don't see it that way at all. I kind of, as weird as it is, I kind of see where she's coming from. I never thought there would be a day where I actually empathize with Evelin in this situation.
Oh, no, and I do. I just, when she gets upset and she talks, she doesn't necessarily mean what she says. I think she says things that she's feeling right then and hasn't really thought, do I really want to never talk to him again? Or is that just what I want to say right now?
No, I agree with that. But okay, here's my perspective on the whole thing. I know that Evelin was frustrated with Corey not doing all those things because she continuously told us, right? She was very frustrated that Corey has not learned to speak Spanish. Yes. And so by her saying, hey, it's over, I don't think that it was as simple as her saying it was over. I feel like there was more to it. Her saying, hey, you haven't done any of the things that you said you were going to do. And, I just can't do this anymore. It's over. And if she didn't tell him, these are things I need you to do in order for you to be able to come back, then yeah, it's kind of on her. But I can see her, saying it's over to kind of light a fire under his ass and be like, yeah, you need to learn Spanish already for the 100 millionth time. Yeah. And then Corey takes that to mean oh, well, I can't do that. I guess it's just over. And then her kind of sitting back being like, I guess he's just going to accept not doing anything. Right. And then he comes back at some point and is like, oh, I want to work things out. And then sure, short-term memory loss, oh, okay, well, I missed you. Pandemic crap is happening right now. Sure, let's get back together again. And then until she realizes things are not fixed or different. Right.
It didn't actually change anything. He just is here now. It was closest person to me, pandemic, let's go. Right. But it's funny that you mentioned the Spanish because I thought he was doing okay on Spanish at the beginning. Right. It was oh, that's more Spanish than I feel like I've ever heard him actually talk in a row when he was talking to Jenny. And she was immediately get out the translator app.
Yeah. Yeah. And Evelyn, like, she can at least speak English, right? So if Jenny has a harder time, it definitely seems like a backslide with Corey. Like,
Yeah, and that's something I don't get. And I've always seen it before, but it's usually people who are at least able to meet and talk to each other through online portals where there's this automatic translation. Like he said, he like picked her up in a bar. Like, how do you start a relationship with someone at a bar that you literally can't talk to? I understand how you hook up at a bar with somebody you can't talk to. Right. I understand how it becomes a relationship. That's what's weird to me.
Yeah, no, I'm gonna agree with you. And I'm actually kind of surprised. Why didn't he go back home? Why is he in another country trying to pick up some other girl in the first place? Because you're a cuckoo clock. That was aggressive. Sorry about that. I'm surprised he didn't go back home because he met Evelyn in the U.S. Mm-hmm. So it's not like this is, your typical couple on this show where they went out of their way to meet someone in another country or, some situation like that. It was like, oh, no, I met this person at home and she wanted to move back to Ecuador because she didn't like it here. And so he followed her, like that was their situation. But, I don't know. It seems weird that he would want to date someone and stay in the area when he wasn't with Evelyn anymore. Yeah,
I think I thought the Peru thing was more like just, well, in case, just leaving my options open, leaving my Ecuador options open. Because I feel like, I don't know at the time, you know as well as anybody, the passport and the visa situation in terms of even visitor visas during COVID and, lockouts have been just crazy. Right?
Yeah.
And so I don't even know because I could totally see it being a case where you can get in here from Peru, but you can't get to Ecuador from the U.S. So if he goes back to the U.S., then he's like locked out of Ecuador and like all the options are closed. But he goes to Peru. And now, why did he then, go on the prowl in Peru and like trying to hook up with people and get a girlfriend?
Yeah,
that's a different story.
Yeah, I don't see where he's coming from at all. Like everything he's done doesn't really make a whole lot of sense.
Well, no, nothing he's ever done. It makes sense. He's a dummy. He's really dumb. I don't know why he doesn't come across quite as dumb at first glance as some of the other dummies, but he's really a dummy.
You know what I think it is because everybody looks at Evelyn and is like, she's just really mean to him. She's like a raging bitch, And I'm not going to say that I didn't think that at some point as well, just because I'm like, wow, she's really mean to him. It's like, if you don't want to be with him, just don't be with him. Just don't be mean to him, right?
Right.
And in this episode, I kind of was like, I get where she's coming from. This is like tough to deal with all the time. Like,
it is. God. And it's like, what did you think that? Why would you do that? You dummy. Oh my God. And it's like, and especially the part that I really empathized with her the most was she was like, you waited until I told my parents we were actually married? What the shit, man? Yeah. What the hell? That's nuts. Knowing that her parents were going to be like, no divorce for anyone. No divorces. Divorces are not things we do. Like, that's just cruel.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, I do feel bad. She does seem like a tough cookie to me too. Mm-hmm. And so to see her cry like this, and he said he's never seen her cry, like, it softened my heart for Evelyn a little bit.
Sure. And I've definitely been around, a lot of women that just don't cry. And like, and so when they do cry, they get like angry because they're like, I'm not supposed to cry. You made me cry. No, like, what the shit, man? Like, and it's like, and I think she was probably that too. Like, I've also known people who don't sad cry, they angry cry.
Yeah.
And so she was on that kind of zone where it was just like that reinforcement of I'm mad and it's making me cry and that makes me mad because I shouldn't be crying and I'm mad and like but I think he might have been underestimating how angry she was and overestimating like how sad she was. It makes me feel bad. Oh, and then he said that crap. He said something like, well, it's just really hard to know that you're the one who caused somebody else to feel this way. And it's like, you know what it is? Or was it him that Steven said that? You know what's worse than that? Being the person that feels that way.
I know. Stupid.
Anyway, so now let's move on to other stupid plans. And that's with Jenny and Sumit. So We're already getting the teased family counseling session with Jenny, Sumit, and his parents. Sumit hopes that his mom will find peace, but Jenny seems to think this is a pipe dream, since basically every meeting she has with them is just a shit show. So Sadnan or Anil, his parents, are already there when they get there. So Ushma, the counselor, starts things off by asking how it feels for them to see Jenny and Sumit. Neither of them can think of anything to say that's positive, especially because they were basically like, oh, she looks old and I don't like it. So the counselor seems to be on the right track, though, and she refuses to pass judgment on the relationship because of the age difference, telling them that they really have to be here to look for a solution, even though she acknowledged that, yeah, this age thing is a very culturally sensitive issue in India. So Anil starts on a kind of random tangent. He says, all right, fine, your relationship is great now, but what about when it ends in 5 or 10 years? Where will that leave Jenny? Some old hag left to live on her own? And where will that leave Sumit? A way too old bachelor with no marriage prospects? Jenny seems to miss the point, I think, of what he was saying. Maybe I missed the point. And thought that Anil was talking about how in 10 or 5 or 10 years or 10 or 15 years, she'll be too frail and senile to have a relationship. But they just seem to be talking past each other because Jenny says something to the effect of, well, after Sumit, there's not going to be anyone else. And Sadhna seems to think, well, if you're going to be with somebody else in 15 years, why not just break up with them now? Why are we prolonging this? So they worry that after Jenny is gone, no one will marry or have children with Sumit because he'll be like 50 years old, and that's just unheard of. And that means that there'll be no one to take care of him when he's old because there are no old folks' homes in India, according to them. So Jenny just goes into her resigned mode right now, like, why are you even here? This is dumb. And you're just going to end up doing whatever your parents want anyway. So he kind of goes, the therapy thing, your opinions are your opinions, but maybe we could do it with less anger and like yelling and nastiness. And the counselor seems to support this decision, saying that nobody can come to a resolution if they can't even be in the same room together. So same room together, that brings up Sadhna's new plan to make this marriage palatable for herself. Well, at least that's what she says. They'll just move in with Sumit and Jenny so that she can teach Jenny how to be a proper Indian daughter-in-law. And then maybe if she learns that, they'll be okay with the marriage. So we come back later to hear more about this plan, which Sumit is visibly reluctant to have to translate for Jenny. Jenny says her first instinct is not just no, but hell no. And the producers ask Sadhna where this idea came from, and she's basically like, it came out of my ass. So she wants to stay attached to Sumit so that, and then and she doesn't want him to go away. So living with him is the best way to stay the closest attached. Sumit thinks this could be a good opportunity to show his parents how much he actually loves Jenny, so he's pretty warm to the idea, thinking at least it's a chance. Jenny can't believe this is a thing that might happen, and is just trying to keep calm for now so that she can have a fight with him later, where she's not in front of his parents. So later on, to have the fight, Jenny and Sumit sit down amongst a troop of monkeys at the temple of Hanuman, the monkey god. So Jenny starts off excited about all the monkeys around, but that's going to change soon. Anyway, she brings up the mom coming to live with them, and he seems to be like, well, we've tried everything else. We might as well do this. And it's funny. I mean, this whole time he seems like, we'll get to it. But Jenny thinks this whole idea is just a nefarious plan to make Jenny's life a living hell to scare her out of India. Plus, she doesn't want new people just moving in her house and telling her what to do. So eventually she reasons into how much she's already given up to him and how much she's being actor sacrificed now, and wonders why Sumit never seems to have to give anything up. He thinks and convinces Jenny that this is going to be an opportunity to make things work that he just can't turn down. But at the end of the day, she still thinks that they want her out of India. And then two monkeys start fighting and they run away. So I guess my question is, I think he was trying to hide it, but on a scale of 1 to 10, how excited is Sumit for this plan?
Like a 10?
Yeah.
He's excited for this.
Super excited for this plan.
He gets to have his mom live there. He gets to have his mom kind of like whip Jenny into shape as he sees it. Yeah. He sees it as a chance to win his parents over. For him, this is like, his second chance. Like, he's really into this.
Yeah, but what is he going to do in terms of his second chance that's going to make it better than the first or zero.
Now he's doing nothing, right?
He's doing nothing.
He doesn't think that he's part of the problem, right?
No. He just thinks everybody else around needs to adjust to all the other people. But what needs to happen here, I need to change nothing. Jenny needs to get more used to my parents. My parents need to accept Jenny. End of story. I am just going to keep doing what I'm doing.
Yeah, pretty much. So, yeah.
And it's just funny. It's funny that he can't see because I'm on pretty much Team Jenny as to what this was really about.
Yes,
this is
right?
100% about
I feel like it's about
torture this woman. Yes, we are going to sabotage this relationship and get this woman out of India. Like, that is 100% what it's about. And the fact that he can't even, he was just like, well, no, you can't think that my mom would want to do something like that. That's crazy. No. She just wants the opportunity. I'm like, oh, man.
No. Oh, dumb Sumit.
So dumb Sumit. But that's always been his problem. His problem has always been like, my parents aren't selfish. They're not, underhanded. They're not doing anything. Everything they do is what they honestly think is the best thing for me without even considering their motives at all. And I was like, dude, what planet are you living on? It's at some point, I feel like we all learn that our parents are people, right? Who have flaws just like everybody else. And he doesn't seem to get that.
No, he really doesn't. And I think another thing is that he just gives them too much of the benefit of the doubt.
Yes, right.
And just doesn't really think at all. And I mean, even when it's blatant and in front of him, because they've been rude to Jenny in front of him. Mm-hmm. And he's just kind of like, So I can understand Jenny's frustration.
They just care a lot about me. I mean, so you can't just fault them for being passionate. Come on. And so it just seems like the worst plan.
I know. It's an awful plan.
And it was funny because I mentioned this before. Oh man, back when I was married, when my mother-in-law would come over and it was like, and I liked her. She was great. But man, if she was there for a week, at the end of the week, I was like, get out of my house. I just need you gone. Right? And I can't imagine somebody you don't have a good relationship with being there just indefinitely. It sounds terrible.
Yeah, it sounds like an awful idea. So I team Jenny on this one. But when am I ever team Sumit? That's
true. I mean, I'm team Jenny in that it's going to be terrible for her, but Jenny just needs to, we both have acknowledged she needs to be like, listen, we get married in 3 months or I go home. End of story.
Yeah, she's kind of incapable of putting her foot down and following through if it means her not having Sumit. So I don't know.
Yeah,
she's very
because she keeps saying things like that. Well, you said you would marry me. I am going to marry you. It's like, you said that 5 years ago. You haven't married me yet. I'm going to. There's not much runway here left for that, man.
Right. You know what I also realized, kind of quick fashion note about her, is her lipstick in some of the scenes make her look like a clown. She needs someone to show her flattering colors and stuff.
That's also because her skin is super pale. She's very, very pale, and she picks pretty bold red, which is that's a clown. White face, bright red lipstick,
right. And her blue eyes, I think that combination,
because she has such light, so she has such light features everywhere, but you really can't go with a really deep, crazy red. Yeah.
Yeah, because it kind of, I thought at first, I was like, is she wearing blue eyeshadow? I was like, no, it's just her eyes are blue and it just blue up there, right? So it's that in combination with the red lipstick. I'm just like, oh, girl, please. All right, so that's all we have
everybody.
With our couples. So who was your student of the week?
My student of the week was Alina.
Alina, okay.
Alina, because I thought she got some very disturbing news. Mm-hmm. She handled it, I thought, fine. In terms of how people can handle things, telling him what she thought very clearly and then being angry somewhere else. And I also actually appreciated that she didn't just blabber to her mom right away.
Yeah.
Because that's one of those things that she really does need to consider if she wants to stay with him. Because if she does want to stay with him and she told her mom, that's a forever problem.
Right. And we've talked about this before several times on this podcast. It's you can't just expect that you confide everything into someone else and them not have some kind of judgment about that person.
Right. And if it's going to be somebody that she needs her mom to accept at some point down the road, like there would be put it this way. He does say he was looking for a blessing. There would be no blessing under any circumstances if she told him, right?
Yeah, definitely. All right. So my student of the week I said was Ari. We talked about how this was an impossible situation last week. There is no way that she can really reassure him that she's going to come back, that he would truly believe. But I thought she made a pretty good effort. Sure. You know, by keeping all her clothes there, by giving him like matching engagement rings. I think these were all showing that she considered his feelings. And she wasn't just like, well, you just have to live with it or just keep on telling him, you know, she was actually thinking about, well, how can I maybe show him that I really have every intention of coming back? Sure. Yep. Yeah.
That sounds good.
All right. What about your dunce?
I went with Sumit. I mean, we talked about all those reasons. Like, he's clearly excited about this terrible plan. Like, and it was funny because at some point Jenny was just like, we're just going to end up doing whatever your parents do. And the first thing they suggest, he's like, yeah, we should do that. Like, he just keeps doing it over and over again. He's just a dummy.
Yeah. So dumb. So my dunce is Corey. You know, it's just like, oh my gosh, why are you lying to Evelin about seeing Jenny? Yeah. And I get that it's for like, you know, legit reasons, but how do you think she's going to feel when she asks you, when's the last time you saw her? Oh, remember that day I told you I was looking for a job? I actually went to go break things off with Jenny then. That's going to be a whole other, you know, can of worms. And you're like, God, Corey, you're such an idiot. What are you doing? Yeah. I mean, it just, it is a struggle with like, when it's like, there's something someone needs to know and they acknowledge I'm going to have to tell her this eventually. Yeah. And I get kind of like, I was looking for the right time or things were going good, but like the time when they ask you directly, all right, now spill everything. What happened? That's the right time. Yeah. The first time they do that, that's the right time. And like, so yeah, he's very, I'm on board with you. Just very dumb. And like, I'm not even sure like Jenny, like, why he had to go see her in person to do that. Because it wasn't even like breaking things off with her. No, she got the hint. She knew. Yeah. She knew she knew it was already over. Right. Yeah. Dumb. Yeah. All right. What about your life lesson? All right. So monkeys are scary. Like they seem very cute. And like so if you can avoid a place where there's just like monkeys who are trying to eat the food from you, you probably should, especially like those big city monkeys. Like, don't feed monkeys. Don't feed wildlife at all. But I get that it was like the monkey temple. But yeah, I would just stay and don't feed wildlife and don't be surprised when wildlife that gets fed gets aggressive. Yeah, I mean, fair. I think that happens like everywhere, right? It's like you, especially when you go to another country when they have animals that you don't necessarily are used to seeing. Yeah. Like, you know, when you go to certain parts of Europe, how there's a ton of dogs on the street, right? Sure. And they're actually pretty smart, you know, but it's like people just are, oh, so cute. It's a dog. It's like those dogs will bite you. Like they have no problem. Like, yeah, they might see them all docile and cutesy and like walk alongside of you. Sure. Mm-hmm. But they will bite you. I literally had, so there's two stories. One that reminds me of when I was going out, like they do that. Like I was out for my last run and a duck ran with me for like 100 yards because it was just like, hey, you got food? It's like ran with me. Right. But no, and this literally saw like it was a clip on the internet today of some dude who tried to pet a warthog and got gored. Like he was holding the phone, be like, here comes a warthog. I wonder if I can pet it. And it's like, oh my God, you idiot. So dumb. No, you cannot pet it. My goodness. All right. So my life lesson is towards Corey and Evelin. If you're done, you're done. There's no point in having some kind of last conversation. It's pointless and unproductive for everyone involved. I think that goes towards Jenny and Corey and Evelin. You know, it's like, you're done, Corey. Why did you have to meet this person in person? Like, there's no reason. And then Evelin, are you really done? Because if you are, what's the point of having this last sit down with Corey? Is it all because the production is insisting? Because that's the only pass I will give you for this. I mean, I kind of get
I get Evelyn's more than I get Jenny's. Because I get, we don't need a debrief of a relationship when it's over. Like, that's fine. Like, that doesn't help anybody. Like, it's just dumb, right?
Yeah.
But I get hers in that her kind of sitting down and being like, this is it. What do you want to say? Because after this, I'm not talking to you again. Like, I'm not going to answer your phone. Don't bug me again. Don't bother me. Say it all right now. Like, and it's more of like just, this is me giving you the chance. I'm not, but the thing is he should be smart enough to be like, when someone says that to you, they're not listening to anything you say because they don't care what you have to say.
Right.
It doesn't matter.
Right. Yeah, definitely. Okay, so we will be back again next week. As far as we know, this train is still chugging on ahead.
I wonder if they'll actually
halfway through.
Yeah, I wonder if they're going to have an episode on Halloween. Now that I'm thinking about it, because that's on the Sunday.
I mean, Halloween's it's not really a holiday.
Oh, I know it's not a holiday, but they take off, like, they usually take off on, like, Super Bowl Sunday, too. Like, it's a Sunday where they think people won't be by the TVs. Sometimes they'll just not put an episode on. I'm just curious. We'll find out when we get there.
We'll see. Yeah. All right. Until next week, though.
All right.
We'll see you soon.
Okay.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.